Hi, I'm Kay, and welcome back or welcome to another edition of News from the Nest. Today we've got some great segments for you.
Coming up, the Denville Animal Shelter, April sports, our school musical, The Drowsy Chaperone, and art scholarships. Let's get it started.
Like so many others, I can't help but love cats and dogs. Did you know we have an animal shelter in Denville? Here's news reporter Caitlin Grimaldi forwarding the latest animals there.
April 30th marks National Adopt a Pet Day, a day to raise awareness for thousands of pets who are looking to be adopted in shelters. One shelter located in Denville is run by Meredith Petrillo. She's in charge of animal control, cruelty, and rescue services for animals. In her 25 years of service, she's helped thousands of animals find homes, some of which you might not expect.
I had an alligator come in quite a while ago that was found in a pool in Parsippany.
The shelter is open for visits Monday through Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. However, you can schedule a better time by emailing her. If you're interested in adopting any of these animals, there is no fee besides a background check. All you have to do is set a time and date to look at the animals.
But normally they'll fill out the application. It has to be filled out 100%. If you leave one thing missing, I reject it.
The shelter is located at 140 Morris Ave in Building 9, in the back of the recycling center. There are many pets and sometimes wildlife there to see. She does prefer people to schedule a visit because she has a busy agenda rescuing animals.
I prefer people to have an appointment. Only because if I'm doing animal control and I'm not here, there's nobody here to show them the animals other than Deb Clark, which is only here 2 hours a day.
If you know or hear some animal is being mistreated, you can contact them and they can help. The shelter is funded by the Denville Police Department. If you have a missing pet, you can contact the police desk at 973-627-4900. They also receive community donations of blankets, beds, and food for the animals. Check out the animal shelter. You might just meet your new furry best friend. This has been Caitlin Grimaldi reporting for News from the Nest.
April 30th is coming up, so maybe look around and see if you can find a new pet to bring home. Just remember, it's a lot of responsibility to take care of them along with keeping them fit. But who wouldn't want a new furry friend?
Just like how dogs run around in circles, we humans too need our exercise. What's a better time to do it in spring when it's the right temperature? News reporter Daniel Glorioso will be sharing the best months in professional sports.
Sports are truly unifying events celebrated around the world by all cultures, races, and colors. People travel in large numbers to sporting venues, dress up in their team apparel, and even paint their faces to watch their favorite teams compete. With sports occurring year-round, some months may be more entertaining and more dramatic than others. May I suggest to you that there is one month that takes the crown for hosting the best and most entertaining events of the year. So here it is. No April Fool. April is the greatest sport month of the year, and here is why. Sport fans are treated to the NCAA Final Four, the NBA and NHL playoffs, WrestleMania, the Masters, the NFL Draft, and the start of the MLB season, all in a matter of 30 days. After 4 grueling rounds of the NCAA tournament play, sport fans are treated in April to the Final Four, which puts 4 of the best college basketball teams in the nation on display. If you're looking for more drama, there's WrestleMania. WrestleMania features some of the most epic, entertaining battles with some of the most storied wrestlers every year. How about the NBA and NHL playoffs? 16 teams in both leagues make the postseason for a high-energy playoff series between the respective league best teams. Sport fans will be treated to over a month of intense playoff action that will eventually lead to the NBA and NHL championship rounds. In golf, the month of April heats up with the Masters. The annual golf tournament at the Augusta National Golf Club features some of the world's best golfers, such as Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and Tiger Woods. Then there is the highly awaited NFL Draft, which gives many NFL teams new hope for the future as they draft the stars of college football. Many people look forward to this draft, hoping that their team will draft an impact player that will greatly help them get to the playoffs. Finally, there is the start of MLB season. After 5 long months of waiting, fans get to see their favorite baseball team put their helmets and gloves back on and go back to work for a long 162-game season. It is clear that there is no month like the month of April in the world of sports. From the Final Four to baseball opening day, the month of April has it all. This has been Dana Glorioso reporting for News from the Nest.
Gotta love sports. Did you know there were so many professional sporting events in just 1 month? Even if you don't like playing in them, you can always watch teams. Maybe they'll even play a catchy song in the background.
Speaking of songs, we just had our school musical last month. The Drowsy Chaperone was great, but how did it get to be that way? Here we have all the notes on this year's MK Spring Musical.
The Drowsy Chaperone is a musical comedy that was made to parody musicals from the 1920s. Our narrator, the man in chair, opens the show by explaining that The Drowsy Chaperone, a fictional musical, is his favorite show, and starts to play the show's record for the audience. He occasionally adds wry side commentary. The Drowsy Chaperone follows the wedding of Janet Vandergraff and Robert Martin, with all the shenanigans that ensue between their friends and each other, including everything from plots against the wedding to a plane crashing the venue. But of course, love is always lovely in the end, and the wedding goes off without a hitch. The show was hilarious, but how did the actors and crew make it that way? First, Miss Dunn chose the show and held auditions. Soon after, the show entered rehearsals. They started by learning the music from Mrs. Markowski. Once the music was solid, they started learning choreography from Mrs. Gogo. Then Mrs. Dunn started blocking scenes, aka deciding where the actors will move and when. While all this was happening, the actors memorized their lines. And the characters speak a lot, so this was a difficult process. After the rehearsal period, they entered Tech Week. Tech Week is the week before a show runs, and it is when all of the lighting and sound cues are worked through. This normally takes some trial and error.
And you thought to yourself, my God, when are they going to bring up the lights?
But finally, after all this work, comes the performances. The actors and crew get to show off everything they worked so hard on and impress the entire audience.
One of my favorite parts of the process has been developing the character. I had to develop an accent, I had to develop a personality, I had to develop a lot of things with this character, especially a character that comes across as so one-dimensional. And that's definitely been one of the most rewarding parts of the process.
I also agree. I feel like I had to pull back on my character a lot because, yes, my character is over the top, but, you know, there's like a good medium, you know?
The community, the makeup department, Livy doing my makeup.
Honestly, watching the set come together, we have been taking many set pieces from previous shows that we've done, culminating it into what is now our Drowsy set, and also bringing objects from home and like putting up posters and stuff, and it all looks really cool, and also adding lighting and sound and putting our choreography onto the stage. So essentially just moving everything onto the stage and making the show what it is.
The show was so great, and I know next year's musical is going to be just as amazing. This has been Danny McGrath reporting for News from the Nest.
I love the show, but I never would have guessed how much work went into it. I never knew any of that about musicals prior to them being performed here at Knolls. I can't wait to see what's up for next year.
Along with theater, we recently had an art funding program with students. Bella Quidor will be painting the picture of what the event looked like.
From leaving home to paying for tuition, the thought of college can be very intimidating. Luckily, there are some resources to help take some of the load off. This year specifically, Morris Knolls hosted its first ever art scholarship fundraiser organized by Mrs. Morgan, MK's very own supervisor of fine arts. With a background in art since childhood, Mrs. Morgan was the perfect person to be in charge. Mrs. Morgan has been part of the art department for 14 years, and beginning her first year at the school, has purchased a student's piece from the AP art show ever since. This then sparked a question in her mind. It was great to help one kid, but what about a broader group of students? The school already had a little bit of money here and there, but never on the same scale as athletes. In the past few years, art teachers have raised money by making t-shirts and jewelry and selling it at concerts or other events, but it still wasn't quite enough. Because of this, Mrs. Morgan really wanted to come up with fundraising ideas for a little boost. It would be her way of giving back, emphasizing talent and hard work from kids right here in this school. Many art students take classes since their freshman year with a possible GT as well. This amount of dedication deserves to be recognized, and thus, the fundraiser became Mrs. Morgan's next project. On Saturday, March 11th, I got to volunteer for the fundraiser, handling the money and chatting with the people that made it out to the event. I spent the day alongside Mrs. Morgan and the talented students present. There were 321 pieces hung up for all to see, with almost all purchases being in bulk. Even the jazz band was involved, playing for a very large crowd. The day was filled with fun for all ages and really showed off the talented kids in the many art programs that MK offers. Since the turnout was so impressive, Mrs. Morgan has already started planning for next year's fundraiser with bigger and better ideas in the works. Make sure you look out for the art fundraiser next year, seeing as it may benefit you too. This has been Bella Quito reporting for News from the Nest.
All those paintings looked amazing. It really inspires me to be more artistic. If you have any questions about the event for next year, speak with Miss Morgan in the attendance office. I'm sure she would love for more people to be involved.
Well, MK, that's our show, and we hope you've enjoyed it. If you have an idea for a news package or think there's something that we should cover, contact us at nftn@mhrd.org.
If you'd like to see more, subscribe to our YouTube page by following the link at the bottom of Morris Knolls webpage.
Click the News from the Nest logo and then the bell to be informed of new uploads.
This has been the best from the Nest.